And it's officially the Benjamin and Sweetie show. We're back on your screens for the news review. In the M form, a lot of other vatamanam. Tanzia, why is a blogger, Moblino, Mobady, the weaker crona shinue, Alonia, Shiklonia, Oklama Chichi Edu now. The proverb I gave this morning, I'm telling Benjamin about it.
Okay.
The V, Ika Nya Shiklonia.
It's the action with your hands for me. Like, what the heck are you doing?
I'm trying to give you cues and clues. So, the akoda, it's only in Sahoro, only in Penifone, no mudiji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to know what you think this means.
Because I'm thinking of our misleaders and politicians. Well, not all of them are that. This morning, I think I'll go with Quatre kwa se obama ontuma tienidi.
Quatre kwa
se obama ontuma tienidi.
Who is Quatre kwa? Or who is a Quatre? Who would you describe as?
So this person has no clothes. It's literally a pauper, no clothes. Someone who doesn't have clothes. But the person is promising you a piece of cloth. And they say, listen to the person's name. In other words, when people come making wild promises, pay attention because they just might be, as we say here, giving you full respect. I think in English, you could also render it as you can't give what you don't have. So in an electoral year, a lot of these people will be coming around saying this or that, but do they have it in them to actually do that? That's the question. Okay. Yeah, so that's my proverb.
But mine simply means that if you know how to talk and act, you just might be invited to the seat of, the high table to sit and dine with your elders.
You may dine with kings.
Kings, I like that.
And queens, yeah.
Yesterday, NDC parliamentary candidate for Ifutu constituency.
Alexander Afenyomake.
No, NDC.
Oh, you mean the parliamentary candidate, James Kofi Annan.
James Kofi Annan.
Right.
Oh,
what did he say?
He said something about Okwasiase. I've forgotten it. But I thought it was something to think about. It stuck with me. The interpretation of it stuck with me for a while. I just can't remember what exactly he said. But anyway, this is the news review, and Benjamin is my guest this morning.
I am, and I'm going to be talking about Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. I hear it was, bombastic yesterday with Endpoint Homeopathic.
I know this. You think there's a story there, so I'm just going to tell you the story right
now. No, I don't think there's a story. I'm just going to talk about Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Why do you think there's a?
You see, that's.
I'm going to talk about Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic.
So yesterday, as you know, Doctor.
What's she talking about? There's no story.
Okay.
There's absolutely no story. What's his name again, Dr. What?
So we hosted a representative from Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic yesterday.
Right.
And, I kept telling the audience, our viewers, that, we talk about them a lot. And so it was good that they joined us yesterday for a stint.
Right.
And before the gentleman walked in, I don't know why, I was expecting someone more elderly.
Okay.
And so he walked in and he was a young man, dashing young man. And because I made such comments, I think it went well.
It went well,
Tell us about Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic.
Well, what I know is what I am going to share with you. Now, if you're out there and you've not been getting yourself screened, that's not a good thing. We're like vehicles, right? Advanced forms of vehicles. Vehicles need maintenance, machinery needs maintenance, and so do we. We also need maintenance in terms of regular health checks. And that's why Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic is offering you prostate screening for free and fertility screening if you're a woman for free. All you have to do is reach out to them at any of their branches. Now, here in the crowd, they're at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. There's Kumasi, Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji Estate. There's Tema Community 22. There's Techiman Hanswa and Esiama in Zama. Their call lines are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. And now we can get into the newspapers. I have the Daily Graphic and the New Finder. What do you have?
I have the Ghanaian Times and the Daily Guide newspaper. But before we get into the newspaper, I'm just more relieved to hear that the management of Akufo-Addo Hospital have called off their strike after some engagements with the appropriate authorities. Yesterday, we know there was a crunch meeting to see how best they can resolve this accommodation issue. And so that's a very good news for me, because we saw how some of the outpatients were stranded. They didn't know what their fate would be because there were no doctors on call. So whatever the outcome of that meeting, hopefully their grievances are actually resolved and not just...
I may not say have been resolved, but may be in the process of getting resolved. In fact, today it is one of the crucial issues I'm talking about in my blunt thoughts.
Okay.
Let me just share the title with you. So it is CAF on its knees and African Games without game. CAF on its knees and African Games without game. How Ghana's misleaders keep letting us down. And I'll be sharing my thoughts on that, because some of the things I'll be talking about in terms of the African Games and where we are, and over the years, things that have happened, culminating in where we are, you'd be pleasantly surprised. You want to stay for
I'm looking forward to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Since I'm a fan of yours and all.
Yeah, should we talk about whom you're a fan of?
I'm a fan of you, Benjamin.
Oh.
And that's it.
Oh.
That's it.
Should I make any references?
No, please.
Okay, all right. We'll leave it there.
So,
let's start with the Ghanaian Times. What do you have?
On the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, it says EC vows to deliver credible, transparent polls. Also, we have the CAT story here. It says CAT launches stroke thrombolysis service to save stroke patients. And the VIP launches the Ghana card number at birth. All this on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. And drama in court as discharged accused attempts to prevent rearrest. This is a story by Anita Nyako. I think I'd like to begin with this, Benjamin. It sounds like an interesting story.
Right.
So drama unfolded at the Achimota Circuit Court yesterday when accused discharged for no charge against them held the police at bay for about an hour. Moses Eke, a Nigerian, refused to leave the courtroom in an attempt to stop the police from rearresting him. This was... Yeah, it's interesting.
In an attempt to stop the police from rearresting
him. So this was after he was discharged in a stealing case involving another Nigerian and Ghana National Fire Service officer. So it was an issue between a Ghana National Fire Service officer and a Nigerian man. And after he's been discharged, he tries to prevent the police from rearresting him. My question is, why did the police want to rearrest a man after he'd been discharged?
You know what this reminds me of, though? Right. I don't know why it's coming to mind, but the Chinese prisoner who escaped. And
How did that go? It just died down. Did
the latest is that footage, CCTV footage from a hotel building close to the prison shows that some prisons officers were in cahoots with this person. Maybe they didn't mean for the person to escape, but they had arranged, and this person was meeting his so-called wife in the precincts around the prison, right? In a certain hotel, lodge, whatever it is. And Opana, before they realized it, backdoor, Okokra, together with the so-called wife. And they used KFC and some drinks to get the prison's officers. What does that tell you?
It tells me that a lot of things happening that, make it into mainstream media is just showmanship. It's just cosmetic. The real stories or the real issues or the people involved in the issues and how they are orchestrating these things.
And the claims are that this goes as high as the highest echelons of the prison's service. But, you also cannot say that. You cannot brush all of them or paint all of them with the same brush strokes. No. There are good ones in there. And the fact that there are a few bad nuts doesn't mean the entire soup is bad or it's getting spoiled. But there's a lot that goes on, we know. And it is what it is.
It is what
Any other stories to look at?
Right. So the EC is vowing to deliver credible, transparent polls. So the Electoral Commission has described the forthcoming December 7 election as a crucial one. Of course, it's very crucial. Therefore, to deliver credible, transparent polls whose results would be accepted by all. That is according to Mrs. Jean Mensah. That is the commissioner of the Electoral Commission. And she says we should be mindful of the peculiarity of this year's election and will do all within its power to sustain the peace the country currently enjoys. We're looking forward to seeing how the elections go in December. There's been a lot of campaign activities going on from the camp of John Mahama, Baumia. There's a lot of launching activities from the camp of the NPP, I must say. Yesterday, they launched the Ghana card at Beth.
Yeah. I mean, there have been a number of those.
Yeah.
It appears there's a lot of... So as Mahama goes around on tour, they are also cutting sods and all of that.
Well,
interesting dynamics. Both of them are showing face. Charlie, you must be present. You must be there. You must be doing something.
The advantage they have,
even if that something is nothing, make something out of it.
Yeah. So, well, let's see how it goes. It's a crucial one, and I'm happy that the Ghanaians are now watching out for what everyone is saying. We are not just swallowing everything they say hook, line, and sinker. You're actually assessing their campaign messages. So it won't just be another fun foolery come December, especially with this power outages.
Oh, I was just getting to that.
Because we are not happy about it.
What is the situation where you are? Because right now it's becoming rampant.
I've not slept with the fan or air conditioner on for 3 days straight, Benjamin.
3 days?
3 days straight.
Are you saying it's been consistently off or it's been off and on?
Off and on, and more off than on. So the lights comes on for 2 hours, 3 hours, and they take the lights back off. Anyway, we need a timetable at least.
You know, it reminds me of when Nigeria had NEPA, because they hold the power. They hold the power. And the other day I was in Osu. I even posted on Facebook. I was in Osu. Broad day. You know how much of a bustle
I saw that post.
Osu is like. And you get into Osu and first thing I was hearing was brrr, brrr, and I was like, okay. Then I hear the generators all through. I go into the banking enclave, there's something, then I go to a bookshop and everyone is on. And I was just cogitating, asking myself, what would this mean for business? And if you didn't have a generator, what would that mean for? And I asked people how long it had been off, and they told me it had been off since, very early in the day, Maybe we're going to get digital electricity. Why do you laugh?
Okay, is that possible? I think that
maybe it's not scientifically
it's crucial for the current government to not shoot themselves in the foot, in the leg, by admitting that Doomso really is back, because what we're experiencing is worse than Doomso.
But
we do not know when the power is coming
what are you
on
saying?
Or when it's going off.
You want politicians to be honest, but you don't want them to admit. Listen, you don't need to be told. Yesterday, when I had an interaction with Dr. Nyaho Tamako, he said it. I mean, the power goes off, it comes on, it goes off a lot of the time. You can't plan anything. What is that? It is Doomso. It is. And you see, that's why I keep saying that. And when NDC politicians come here as well, I try to caution them, because they may think now that, we are, so to speak, in a comfortable lead and this and that. But whatever you say, if you come to power, we'll use those same things against you. And that is what the MPP is falling. It's falling on its own sword. It's like setting a trap and falling into the trap yourself. Because what did they not say about Doomso? And how arrogant and spiteful and acerbic the remarks were. It was okay because we were with them on that. Because look, Charlie, for like 3 years, it was a mess, right? But things were done to get us out of that mess. That whole I'm sorry, hogwash about the MPP came and did away with Doomsor. How do they prove that? Who signed the IPP contracts? When were they executed? We were out of Doomsor by the time you came through. We had secured an IMF program, which meant that in 2017, the economy was going to rebound. They benefited from all of that. You've not added a kilowatt of power. You have signed contracts, but not a kilowatt has been added. They are two different things. The contracts have not matured, or you've not concluded. You've not got even a kilowatt of power. You told us consistently that we had excess power. From around 2021, 2022, we did not have excess power. Now you've waited till we get here. You see, they say first fool may not be a fool, but if you're a fool the second time, you are a fool. And unfortunately, that's where the MPP is. Because someone was a fool, and you had to learn from that person's experience. You had the advantage of learning from their mistake. So if you take us back there, we'll deal with you even worse than we dealt with the first entity. And that's where the MPP finds itself. Yeah. I mean, you can't. The other day, I really got caught up. I needed to do something urgent with my laptop. I hadn't powered it in a while. And lo and behold, when I wanted to do the thing, fine. ECG decided to show me something small for my iTop. I had to drive to another location to get power to work and send that email and come back home.
You had somewhere to drive to. My phone is currently plugged in, not with me because it's dead, Benjamin. And the sad part of this post-truth, post-honesty society or environment, political environments that we're operating in right now, is that there are people close to government who can speak up about these things. But because they are fattening their purses, they would rather defend the actions of government than blatantly say, we are also suffering. So you bridge the gap between we, the populace, and you who are close to these people who have who you can speak to understand that really, that ordinary Ghanaian is suffering. This is no way to live. This is no way to live where you don't know when your light is coming back on, when you have food, you've stored food in the fridge and it's all going bad, when you do not know for sure. Oh, all right, we should move on from this.
It's called matricule. Matricule. What yes?
I saw a post from Obi Amponsa, one of Ghana's finest comedians, saying that every time your lights goes off, just pick your Ghana card and your voter identification card and smile. Because
really?
Soon you will have the chance to do something about it.
Okay, I nearly said don't be so sure. But, the Ghanaian electorate is very fickle. I'll leave it there.
And gullible sometimes.
Yeah. But later on, I'll share some thoughts on what Nyaho Tamaklo shared with me. Let's get into the papers.
Great watching that interview. So now let me get into the Daily Guide newspaper before you could. So Iyoko bust for over 113.9 thousand Ghana cedis Momo fraud. The story is on page 3. The Economic and Organized Crime Office has arrested and dragged 4 persons before a circuit court in Accra for their alleged involvement in money and SIM card swap fraud scheme, which has been prevalent these days. The activities of the 4, Richmond Donko, Elias Chino, Cecilia Asabre, Salifu Ishan, and Daniel Ansomeni Bewa, according to court documents, led to the loss of 113,947 Ghana cedis belonging to an unnamed bank, but described as one of Ghana's largest bank. So Yoko has dragged these 4 people to court.
Well, let's see how that situation.
I do want to get into the facts of this story. So the prosecution's brief fact states that on February 14th, Iyoko received a complaint from a bank that an amount of 1,139,000 had been stolen from 6 of its customers' bank accounts through a sophisticated mobile money and SIM swap fraud scheme. It said the individuals suspected of running the mobile money and SIM exchange fraud were arrested by the police in Kaswa on March 2nd, the following day. Now, the fact also said that the swapping allowed the accused persons to take control of the account holders' banking channels, that is the mobile application and USSD, allowing them to move funds from the victim's accounts to various bank accounts and mobile money accounts. So preliminary investigations revealed that Donko and Asabre altered the same ECOWAS ID card, that is the Ghana card, in the name of one William Ejay Kwating. They then used the altered ID card to swap phone numbers attributed to the bank. It's dangerous out here for online financial transactions. If you are not careful, all your money, just a click of a button or just receiving a message on your phone, all your money is gone. Right, so let's see how that case turns out. There's a photo here of COP Mame Yatiwa Adodankwa, the EOCO boss. Yeah. What do you have?
I'll start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Ghana card at birth begins, and December polls will be free, fair. You've already gone into that. That's according to the EC. Economy in last 12 months. Ghana makes progress. That's according to the IMF's managing director, Kristalina Georgieva, or Georgieva Kristalina. And then in sports, on the back page, African Games, Black Bombers, Black Hitters, and Spotlight as boxing commences. African Games, LOC boss predicts more medal success for Ghana. After I'm done today, some of them may want to run away. But anyway, when I'm done with my blunt thoughts, because today, just a yasifim, a hard dream, a chat. Okay, so let me start from there. The chairman of the local organizing committee of the African Games, Accra 2023, Dr. Kweku Ofosu-Asare, is hopeful the Team Ghana will win more medals than it did at the last African Games in Rabat, Morocco. I'll explain to you later why it's not even about the medal haul. But speaking to the Daily Graphic on the sidelines of the official welcome ceremony for the 13th African Games at the African Games Village, Dr. Ofosu-Asare said the target was for Ghana to improve upon the medal haul from the 2019 African Games. Quote, "We want to improve on what we did in Morocco, and I believe we shall achieve that goal." Later, I'll break down to you what we did in Morocco that he says we should improve upon, and where we lie now.
13 medals?
We'll get there. And Team Ghana currently has 5 medals after 11 days of competition. And the Black Bombers too getting in there. But so the editor, graphic Theophilus Yate, was privileged to have an exclusive interview with the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, on the performance of the Ghanaian economy and other relevant matters following the country's return to the institution. The interview took place ahead of a scheduled visit to Ghana tomorrow and departure on Monday. Let me get to the other details. I have to go, today is not page 3, I have to go to 24 and 25. Because it's an exclusive, so to speak, they dedicated quite a lot of time to it. So the question is posed to her, could you tell us why you are visiting Ghana? And it goes on and on. But some of the focal points. It has been wonderful to see the good progress that Ghana has made over the past year towards stabilizing the economy, fostering a broad-based recovery and investing for the future. She also says, the global economy has been surprisingly resilient. After peaking in 2022, inflation is coming down faster than expected. She's talking about the global economy in most regions, and growth is holding up. But overall growth remains low. We expect global growth of 3.1% this year. Mind you, in the sub-region, especially considering some of the other countries like even Djibouti, Niger, and the rest, we are not even matching their expectations when it comes to GDP growth. We are not in the top 11 in terms of projected growth. That's how far we've fallen. Now, she says continued steadfast implementation of the government's policy adjustment and reform program will be critical to fully restore economic stability and debt sustainability into next year and beyond. Sometimes I dislike how these Bretton Woods institutions play with us when it comes to some of the facts and the figures, because they have the tail of the tape. And the talk about debt sustainability and the rest, looking at where we are, it will be quite a while before we can even use sustainable anywhere close to, in any close proximity to debt, our debt.
Have we crossed recovery before we go and sustain? This is a country spending $195 million on all African Games. the outlook of it without
if you add what they've given to the local, if you add what they've given, the 195 million is infrastructure. If you add the 47.7 million, making everything 142.2 million that they've given to the local organizing committee, the 47.7 million, that's what you get, 142.2 million. In fact, 242.2 million dollars. Do you know what that is?
Benjamin, who was it that said that? Riddle.
Let me rephrase this. Start again.
Yetisikaso.
It's we binumu disikano. And
I also say a comedy. Are you not?
What's a comedy?
A comedy.
Entisikano ewehe.
All African Games. And a National Cathedral.
No,
and Ghana card
don't bring in the National Cathedral. The National Cathedral is a different monster. It's a different ball game. Please don't bring the National Cathedral into this. By the way, the cost has ballooned by no, this one is
How do we reconcile this? If we are spending this much on not what I would call priorities, or things that the nation.
But who says it's not a priority? The president said that it was his promise to God, and how can he describe something a promise made to God not a priority?
What about his promise to us?
You over God, or you over God, or God over you? Which one? But in terms of reconciliation, sometimes I ask myself. So, Sir David Ajayi, for example, the architect and all. Now that people have taken their sums of money, maybe work done. Some have criticized how much was involved. Indeed, how do we reconcile all of this? It is there. It's a pit. We've expended so much money. We've not completed the project. You realize that if this were in private enterprise, enterprise, like this would be a big...
Yes.
Heads would have rolled. Maybe some people would be facing criminal charges for causing financial loss. We actually have stuff, right? Causing financial loss to the state. Because it wasn't just so-called donations. Taxpayers' money ended up in there, which we were not told from the start. But anyway, Ghana card at birth begins. Digital. I spoke about digital electricity. Maybe we should digitalize our electricity. But let's talk about something else that's digital. The lack of integration between birth records and national identity platforms opens up a variety of potential problems and risks which impact national security, voter registration, social service delivery, and overall governance, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has observed. And he spoke about the Ghana card. He says the integrated Ghana card at birth system works by linking the mother's record with the Ghana card during the antenatal period. So when birth occurs in a health facility, it is captured in an electronic system. And there you go. So from birth, you have your Ghana card. That should solve all our problems.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. On paper, these policies and initiatives look so good.
Seriously, this is a very good thing.
Yeah. It's a good step.
Right.
Just like the national health insurance, just like the free senior high school policy, just like all these other initiatives that the government is just pumping into the system. But the implementation of these initiatives and policies and how it actually affects us.
That's where the devil is.
What need it is serving, or what is it really solving at this point?
So you can proffer solutions, but are the solutions actually solving any problems? As for this, I am wholly for it. I mean, identifying and all of that, it is a good thing, but how will we let it feed into the system so that it is actually solving problems? Before we go, though, I wanted to go back to two things that Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo shared with me yesterday, and then I will shout Sir's signature for this wonderful shirt as well. He told me yesterday that when I asked him about election 2024 and whether he thought the NPP could win the election, he made mention of the fact that unless there were some political arm twisting. In fact, he said that if that happened, then it would be that result would be what he termed the stolen verdict. And then on Vice President Bawumia, he said the Vice President was in a very tricky situation in respect of the selection of a running mate because he was not his own man. I don't know, but those are too... He said a lot of heavy stuff, but these are like super heavyweight stuff.
And from his background, I want to believe he knows exactly what he's talking
about. He knows the vice
yes.
president well.
Yes, he knows the party
He's
well.
a founding member of the MPP. Of course, there was a fallout at the point when Akufo-Addo became president, because right before the elections, he went ahead to say that, no, this and that. Those were his thoughts. He says right from where Polafoko and the rest were sent out, the party started crumbling. Those are his thoughts. But these two thoughts here, coming from someone who was one of the founders of the MPP, I don't know. But
what would a political arm twisting look like to actually turn the fortunes of this country? What would a political arm twisting?
Honestly, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about what political arm twisting could mean, but let's just say it's a pretty tricky situation.
And for the comments about the vice president not being a man of his own, it reflects in his comments about just being a mate, not taking responsibility for anything, that he's not actually at the forefront of any of these issues that are coming up. So
but whether former president saying whether spare driver or he is saying a mate, so many normally say mates. Well, the former president, though, I've heard something about spare driver. I don't know about mates, though. Because you see, even there, a spare driver, it means the person drives, right? Mm-hmm. But the mate is... How many mates actually... You get the picture? Every
time the mate...
So the analogy is some way. When I spoke to Kwame P.N.M., he said that analogy, that thing, like if I don't talk that.
Yeah, I'm sure he has his own reservations about it now. Yeah.
Like in this situation.
Go back.
Like, so you be the driver, I'm the mate.
Yeah. No. I want
yes. Say.
I want to be the mate because then I can not take.
There are no mates on this show. We are co-drivers. But it reminds me though, Charlie.
Hey, Ghana.
Some of the mates, the conductors, Omo Paya. I'm sure our director and producer are saying stuff we can't hear. But Omo Paya, what are the most interesting ones you've heard? I mean, you'd hear say. That's Circle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, say. That's Kwame Nkrumah Circle. I remember Santa Maria. There was one. Which one is that?
They're calling the commuters for their money. They just name you. They just call you Ajwa Kofi.
Okay. There was one I heard once and it shocked me. So the person was going like Mari Santa. Do you know where they were going?
Medina?
Santa Maria.
Hey.
There are some very interesting ones.
They make the ride entertaining if you're looking for some fun. So maybe our vice president is just trying to lighten the mood because it's so tense.
Let me salute Sir Signatures. A few days ago, I got this wonderful shirt from Sir Signatures, all the way from Sunyani Post Office roundabout, adjacent ADB. Had to send it to me, hand-delivered, and I just have to thank you. Sir Signatures in Sunyani Post Office roundabout, adjacent ADB. His number is 0244 055 066. 0244 055 066. If you want to be decked in something similar, you can do that. But before we go, Sweetie's favorite Endpoint Homeopathic clinic is offering you prostate screening for free, fertility screening also for free. That is if you're a woman. Just reach out to them at any of their branches here in Accra, Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and the Siama Nzama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, but still not the end of the news review. You have something to say. What is it?
I wanted to wish Kwame Ban, Bismarck Kwame Ban, a happy birthday. That's my
Bismarck
friend.
Kwame Ban.
Yes, Kwame. You know Kwame Ban? Okay, so happy birthday to Kwame Ban.
Okay.
I like to say he's reached a certain level of enlightenment that most people would reach only in their 50s or 60s.
I see.
He's a young man doing great things.
Okay.
We've been friends for a while. I appreciate you. Happy 32nd birthday. You thought I was going to talk about Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic?
Oh, no. I am going to end with Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now I can end.
Chronic disease.
To chronic disease.
And that's the end of the news review. We are back on your screens, but stay with us.